Since recording of this episode and the time it was supposed to air, several things happened that refer to this episode's topics, and we would like to really update you on those two. So, first of all, the situation in the European Parliament referring to the EU Migration Pact. European Parliament voted at the very end of March a new law that now is much stricter towards those who have been rejected. So asylum seekers who have been rejected and still decided to stay within the EU will now face harsher punishment, including detention and a ban on entering the EU. The second change in the law, however, is much more controversial because it refers to so-called return hubs. And several individual members of the European Union have tried it in the past. You may remember Italy signed a deal with Albania, or before that, UK signed a deal with Rwanda, which was questioned several times in the courts. But now, European Parliament gave a green light to all member states to actually offshore the procedures and just send asylum seekers who have been rejected to other countries. And now, it was not a unanimous decision. However, the majority voted it in. It was 389 in favor to 206 against and 32 abstentions. And we see that it's not unanimous. However, it goes with the trend. And the decision is controversial because the supporters of this law say that finally it will organize the return situation in the EU, because we know that EU has problems with sending back people who have been rejected in several instances. However, on the same time, there's a harsh criticism, especially from the human rights groups, saying that this will create black legal holes, because who is supposed to be responsible for the conditions in those third countries? And if something happens, you can imagine one member state of the EU signs a deal with, let's say, Rwanda. Something happens, somebody dies there. Now, who is to blame? Whose fault is it? Is it the fault of Rwanda, or is it the fault of the member state that signed this deal? So, many things to discuss here, and we will make sure that we will follow this legislation as it goes into power and is implemented by member states.